Genesis, and you're watching Dante's Boxing Nation.
Dante's Boxing Nation, what's going on, guys? So maybe about 2 or 3 days ago, I was talking to Aki, and we were talking about Edgar Berlanga and who would be a really good opponent for him to step up and fight against. And two of the guys that I mentioned was David Lemieux and Gabe Rosado. And coincidentally today, Edgar just came out and announced that that's the fight he wants next. He called out Rosado in a respectful way, and he says that he wants to fight him Puerto Rican Day weekend, which I believe would be in June of 2021. Now, this is what Edgar posted on one of his social media accounts. He says, quote, "Shout out to Gabe Rosado. We can probably make a fight happen for the people. The Puerto Rican Day weekend, we can probably make something happen. No harsh feelings with him. It's about fans and making big things happen. Everybody always says he's not fighting nobody. Listen, relax. He's stepping up in competition. Next year, we're going to be stepping up in competition. They're just so impatient," end quote. Now, the first thing I want to say is I want to give Edgar a lot of credit for even aiming that high when it comes to stepping up in competition. That is a hell of a leap, at least if you're comparing Rosado to the opponents that Edgar has been facing up till now. For those of you guys who don't know, Edgar, he's been creating a lot of buzz because he has 16 knockouts in a row, and all knockouts are in the first round. Now, and I will say, what made his last first round knockout a little bit more impressive, which was on December 12th, I believe, soon as the bell rang for the first round and the fight started, Tim Bradley and Andre Ward immediately said, there's no way he's knocking this guy out in the first round, because they knew that the guy he was in there with, he was durable. He was used to going rounds with other experienced fighters. So because Berlanga was able to knock him out after Tim Bradley and Andre Ward both said that, that made that knockout a little bit more impressive. But the takeaway is it wasn't against good competition, and that's the reason why you hear Edgar saying right now, don't worry, relax, I'm stepping up next year. And then he says, people are so impatient. Now, I will say this to Edgar. What he has to understand is sometimes you got to be careful what you wish for or what you ask for, because with fame comes a lot of eyes. A lot of people are looking at you. And once they see a neat trick that you pull off, they want to see a new trick. So now that Edgar has caught so many people's attention in the sport of boxing, they're now asking a lot of questions. Man, how is he going to look when he steps up in competition? What's going to happen when he gets hit? Etc., 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 right? Now, I'm one of those fans. Once again, watching these impressive first round knockouts, I want to know more about him. I want to know, is he going to be this good when he steps up in competition? Are we going to see a complete different Edgar? I mean, he's not the first fighter to have a very impressive knockout streak. There's been a lot of guys like that, and as soon as they stepped up, you know, they end up either getting knocked out and we never heard from them again. We don't know what's going to happen with Berlanga, but I give him a lot of credit for going after someone like Gabe Rosado, because that is the perfect test for him. He's 23 years old. Now, because so many people were wondering, how is Edgar going to react when he gets hit with a good shot, or when he hits someone with his best shot and they're still punching, they're still throwing punches, and they're still hitting him back? How is he going to respond to that? So what I did once I started to watch more of his knockouts, I started to dig a little deeper, and then I started to watch some highlights of his first couple of fights, maybe some of his first 5 fights as a pro. And I actually seen him get caught. He was getting caught with a lot of shots, and he ended up even getting staggered really bad by one of his opponents. And then right after he got staggered, though, he came back and he knocked the guy out with a right hand. I believe it was a right hand. And then, of course, we all seen the sparring footage of him sparring with the hammer Erickson Lubin, which is, so there is no confusion, that was actually when he was a pro. That wasn't when he was an amateur. That sparring session with Erickson Lubin was when he was a pro. But in both the sparring session with Erickson Lubin and the first couple of fights that I watched, I mean, I literally had to stop the video and look at the title. make sure that this was the same guy, because the way he was fighting, his style, everything, it looked like it was a complete different person, especially the way he was getting hit. And the guys he was getting hit from, they were really slow fighters. They were punching like in slow motion. So it surprised me that they were able to hit him so much at that time. Now, he has definitely evolved. We don't know how much he evolved, but he seems like he's improved. It seems like, he's made that full transition from the amateurs to the pros. Maybe that's what it was. Sometimes it takes fighters a little bit longer, to transition over and be comfortable as a pro fighter. I don't know if that's what it was, but we will definitely find out when he steps up in competition. Now, going back to when Edgar said, fans are just so impatient. For those of you guys who don't know, Edgar's idol is Felix Trinidad. So what Edgar has to realize, I'm sure he knows this, Felix Trinidad, he won his first world title. I'm talking about against a real champion, Maurice Blocker. He won that title at age 20. Mike Tyson became the heavyweight champion at age 20. Fernando Vargas, he became the youngest light middleweight champion, winning the world title at age 21. And Floyd Mayweather was 21 as well when he first fought for his world title after 17 fights against the lineal champion, Gennaro Hernandez. In fact, Floyd Mayweather, that's one of the only times where Floyd Mayweather was actually an underdog. Not to mention today's fighters. You got David Benavidez, who obviously fights in the same division as Edgar. He's only 1 year older than Edgar. Once again, Edgar is 23 and David Benavidez is 24 years old. You would think as long as David has been fighting against tough competition, you would think that he's like close to 30 years old, but that's not the case. He's been facing some of the best competition since he was 21 years old. Then you have another fighter who's going to fight against Sergey Kovalev, a fight I'm really interested in watching. His name is Bektamir Melikuziev. He's only 24 years old. He was a silver medalist in the Olympics, and he's fighting in the same division as Edgar Berlanga. He's 6-0 with 5 knockouts, and he's going up against Sergey Kovalev next month. So this is the reason why fans are so impatient. They want to see more of Edgar. It's not a bad thing. They want to see more of him. They want to see how good he's going to be on the next level. Hopefully, Edgar, he can get someone in the ring on that level. I just reported earlier that Canelo Alvarez is going to most likely fight Avni Yildirim in his next fight. For those of you guys who don't know, Yildirim is coming off of a loss. He also lost to Chris Eubank earlier on in his career. Someone like that would be a perfect opponent for Edgar Berlanga, not for Canelo Alvarez. So hopefully Edgar, he gets someone on that level next year. Another good opponent would be against Anthony Durrell. I just told you guys that Yildirim is coming off of a loss, and the guy he lost to was Anthony Durrell. And Durrell, he just came off of a loss, losing to David Benavidez. So that would be another great step-up opponent for Edgar Berlanga. And then you could have the battle of the undefeateds. Edgar versus the Uzbekistan fighter I was just telling you guys about, Bektamir Melikuziev. That would really be a great step up. I'm telling you guys, the 168-pound division has been dead for a long time. It's a little dead right now when it comes to, we don't really have any strong champions at 168. And mind you, when I say that, I'm not including Canelo, because we know that Canelo is not going to fight any of these young undefeated fighters. But I believe by probably next year, or especially earlier 2022, there's a very good chance Andrade and Charlo, they're going to move to 168. And one more time, you got Canelo Alvarez, who right now only wants to be pound for pound the best fighter in Europe. He only wants to fight white European fighters. So I certainly don't expect him to do what Floyd Mayweather did, which is fight the young undefeated lions coming after him. I don't see Canelo Alvarez doing that. He could possibly do it in the future, but right now, he has no plans of doing it at this point. I always told you guys, I believe that there may come a time where he'll be forced to get in the ring with a Charlo, an Andrade, or a Benavidez one day. But right now, that's nowhere near on his radar right now. And the only way he'll fight these other young lions coming up is if they end up looking vulnerable, if they start getting knocked down, staggered, and they look like they don't have a chin, then he will most likely get in the ring with them. But outside of Canelo Alvarez, when you look at Andrade, Charlo, like I was just talking about, once again, Bektemir, and then now you have Edgar Berlanga, there's going to be some good fights at 168. And we're going to find out very soon if Edgar Berlanga is the real deal. That's all I got for now, guys. I'm on to the next one. Fellas, I've got some great news for you. If you've lost your hair or have a receding hairline, the time has come when you can finally get your hairline back through a process called scalp micropigmentation. So here's how it works. It's a hair tattoo that replicates the look of your hair follicles when you have fully shaved it down. So if you want to get this hookup for my brothers out there in the UK and Europe, make sure you check out the Scalp This on Instagram. And for my brothers out there in the States, make sure you go ahead and contact my man Scalp Carolinas on Instagram. You know, I always say on this channel, pay-per-view fights should actually be free. And now the day has come where I'm about to hook you up with an app where you can watch all your pay-per-view events, boxing, UFC, etc. for free. I want to introduce Block TV, the best internet streaming television app out there. They provide over 3,600 channels, including HBO, Cinemax, Showtime, and Starz. They have a massive video on demand library with over 40,000 of the new release movies and the latest TV series. And it also includes DVR. So you're getting all of this for $34.99 a month. And once again, that includes free pay-per-view. So this one right here is a no-brainer, guys, because back in Las Vegas, I was paying damn near $200 a month for my cable. Those days are long gone now. So to get the app, make sure you guys go over to getblocktv.com and put in my promo code and get 30% off your first month. You also get a free month for every friend you refer. The promo code is DBNation.